The video you've been waiting for. I am so excited to share this with you. I finally got in my prototype for the second edition of our 1909 Sawyer's Redux Tarot. I usually call it just the Redux deck. It's a lot easier because, you know, me and my clever titles. First things first, the shuffle mat is amazing, and it's from my best friend Jenna of Moonlit Fae. Of course, she is linked in the show notes. I'm gonna move that out of the way for just a minute. So as you can see, the box, if we're comparing it to the old box, it's a lighter gray colorway. The image is shrunken down a little bit. I'm still deciding if, since this is just the pre-order, the prototype, if I wanna make that a little bigger for the actual decks. That's to be seen, but it's gonna look like this. This was the first edition, obviously, that came out a couple years ago. I got it when, in 2022, I got it when we did the Out of Hand Tarot. I was able to order these and the Nested Tarot. And we did 500 copies, and they are officially out of print. So now I wanna do the second edition. The backs are relatively similar. I changed the words a tiny bit. The bottoms we have where they're printed, revisited artwork by Jamie Sawyer. This one says 2022. This one is 2022-2025, second edition. This one was printed in China. This one is printed in the USA. So first things first, the cardstock on the second edition is a little thinner. It is the 330 black cord German cardstock, 330 GSM, whereas this cardstock is 350 GSM. If you have my felt tarot, this is the same exact cardstock in finish as the felt tarot. So they're similar, but they're gonna be different. I have found that I actually prefer the thinner cardstock. It's still springy, it shuffles nice, you can riffle shuffle, you can do all that stuff with it that you like. It fans beautifully. We'll get into that. But for my particular shuffling tastes, I am actually preferring the thinner cardstock. In fact, whenever I go to use this one, it's actually harder for me at this point. So I'm just going to pull it out real quick and just show a couple little differences between the decks. I did do some color tuning and changed a little bit of some of the cards, not a lot, like there's not a huge difference, but there's a noticeable difference. So this one is got like a little richer color on the right than the original or the first edition. I darkened some of the shadows, and that's pretty much all I did in this, in the Fool. So then let's get to the Magician. So again, I deepened the yellow background, and I also, if you notice, the table on the first edition, I went ahead and removed one of the legs because at a conference I was talking with Mary Kay Greer, and if you're in the tarot world, you should absolutely know who Mary is. And we were discussing, you know, what I did, how I had centered the Magician more in the middle of the card, you know, with my version than the original Pamela Smith version. And then I told her about the table legs, and she had told me that the reason that this table leg was not there, some people speculate was intentional because it was kind of like the gateway to go into the two pillars of the High Priestess. And I really like that. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the advice of the person who has been studying this probably as long as I've been alive. And I'm going to just alter that in the cards. So in this Magician card, you can see it's a little different. And then in the High Priestess, we have darker shadows. The colors are very similar. I wanted her to be a little bit more sassy, so I pulled some of her hair back because I feel like already she's non-conforming. And so in this version, there's no hair over the shoulder, but in this one we have, you know, a little bit of peeking out. Like, I may wear your clothing, but I'm not gonna always follow your rules, you know, so that. So I'm just gonna do like little side-by-sides. Let me bring the shuffle mat back down and make it fun. So I can do this flip through with you. And anything that I notice, you can see like the colors are a little deeper, darker. That I did go in and, like I said, I bumped it up. And also they're different printing companies, so their machines are gonna be a little different than the ones that were in China. Let's see, so Empress is the same. Again, I might have deepened the shadows, darkened the backgrounds, boldened it, made it really pop out. I was trying to make the mandalas kind of stand out a little bit more in the second version. And you can see as I'm flipping it, let me do this correctly, you know, nothing like Jamie off the cuff. So as I'm flipping it, let's just look at the card backs, right? So on this, I took the same card back, but I wanted to bump up the mandalas, so I made them bigger to take up more of the space. So again, that was very intentional, and I'm kind of loving this lighter colorway. I'm one of those weirdos that can't really handle dark mode, so whenever I see like white writing on black background, it messes with my eyes. And so this is kind of like, this makes it to where I can see it in the world, and it just feels a little bit better. It's just, okay, so here we have the Hierophant. Again, I deepen the colors, so this is gonna be bolder and richer. So instead of me saying that in every card, just know that that's something that I did. So let's flip on through. If there's any major changes, I will let you know. We got the Strength card. Got our Hermit. Flip this to where it's supposed to be, upside down. When I was going through it, I must not have done that. Some of the cards also, I haven't noticed it right away. It's more in the minors. I zoomed in a little bit more in the imagery, so you'll see that when we get to those. And again, I deepened the shadows. Like I really wanted to get the feel of Justice's robe being kind of on the thing. They're like such minor changes, but things that I noticed because I just wanted to notice. I brightened the halo around the Hanged one here. We've got Death. Who doesn't love the Death card? Is like my favorite card. Let's see. We've got Temperance, the Devil. So the Devil on this one, I kind of made the background a little bit, instead of brighter like this with these mandalas, they're still there, but they're like a little darker because I wanted to give it more of that dark feel of the original nod to the Rider-Waite-Smith. Same thing with the Tower. Here we have the Star. So you can just see like the colors are just a little bit more vibrant. As somebody who loves color, I am very happy about that. And then this one is one you'll notice, like, so in the aces, I went in because I felt like these had always gotten lost in the background. So I darkened the background a little bit so you can actually see the mandalas a little bit better. And then we've got the shadows are a little bit deeper. That was very intentional. I am just so excited to be able to offer a second printing of this. I know a lot of you have asked about it. And especially with the way the world is right now, it's really hard to decide if we want to even print decks because you know, we've had to change the printing houses that we used to use. I'm still in touch with my contact in China. They've actually moved to a new company, so I haven't even been able to, I've gotten some samples, but I haven't seen the quality of work from that company. So the company that printed the second version and my felt tarot is Shuffled Ink out of Florida, and they did my first Sawyer's Path decks before I started outsourcing to overseas. So I know that they do a quality product, and when I had gotten, I know I was supposed to already have the pre-orders for these done. However, when I had gotten my prototype decks, they were not up to speed. They were not how they were supposed to be, and they quickly fixed that for me, and I was able to get my replacement prototypes like within a week. So that's made me very happy. You can see on this, the ace, the background's a little darker, so you can see the mandala a little bit better. Let me pull it up so you can see. And you know, I'm very grateful to be able to just call them and thank them in person, and their team has just been fantastic. So I do imagine I'm going to be using them for a lot more of my projects that require like a big printing. And yeah, so I'm very happy about these. I'm so excited. Pre-orders will open. I know that's basically why you're here, looking and also to see the little changes in the cards. Pre-orders will open up on October 5th. That's the date that I have set. I've chosen that, so don't worry. We're gonna do pre-orders. The pre-orders are gonna be ongoing, but there's gonna be a week of just pre-orders before I place the order, because it's gonna let me know how many of the second edition to print. These are all things that, you know, just come into play when you're a deck creator. I don't wanna get too many, but I also don't wanna not get enough. On this particular card, you can see I zoomed out a little bit so that the cups they're not being cut off, which I kind of like. You know, I thought I zoomed more. The templates are different than what I had used, so we've got, hold on. Did I shuffle these? Now we enter the human element. I just saw in my prototype that I accidentally, when I approved the proof, I did not catch the fact that I have 2 page of wands and no page of cups, but that's going to be fixed before the final decks are ordered. So let's just get back to the flip through. Sorry about that. I had to have a momentary panic and then see what we can do. So I'm just going to continue with the flip through. Again, this is the human element. This is what goes on in deck creating. This is also why it's so important to get a prototype. And sometimes especially when you're ordering from factories overseas, the prototypes are a lot of money. Because it's way more cost effective to order 1,000 decks than it is to order like 2. So I just have a few decks that are now going to be broken decks, which is good, because there are times when, you know, you might get a deck and there might be a card that's bent or whatever. So it allows me to have like some stock to be able to replace cards. Anyway, let's get back to the flip through. So now we have the Knight of Cups. See if that was definitely my oversight. And then the Queen of Cups. And you can see, for the most part, the artwork is very similar. These mandalas are just a little bit bigger. He zoomed out a little bit more, being able to see more of the fish. And then we've got the swords. You get to see the mandala more. Again, the richer colors. And because this deck is borderless, some of the cards that in the original Rider-Waite deck that would be cut off, like on the 2 of Swords, because there's borders on the originals, like I just said. Way to be redundant. Anyway, you get to see the full swords, but our minds know that they're still going off screen. And we've got the 3 of Swords, our 4, I'm really loving the vivid colors. Eight of Swords. The 9. The 9 now, since it's got like that richer background, you can really see the mandala in the back. I mean, they're very subtle differences. They really are. We've got more of the black looks blacker, more purple toned. Again, that's because the printing houses too. I mean, I bumped up some of the colors, but the printing houses also use different ink settings and machines and all that stuff. So you're gonna have variants from deck to deck. Oh, I'm so excited. So excited about these. I just love this. This always bothered me about this one, that the white mandalas were too, you couldn't see a lot of it. So like I said, I darkened up the background. Made some of the mandalas stand out a little bit more vibrant. I feel like this deck's printing, the second edition, has literally been a lesson in planning plans, not results. Like, first I did the Kickstarter that didn't fund, and that's okay. That was my first time. And that's because it was, I think I was trying to do too many things with it. I was trying to do like the pocket decks and just offer way too much. So it was just, it's okay. It was a lesson. And then with the second you know, with the prototype and then getting those, and they weren't perfectly how I wanted them. Now noticing that I approved the wrong proof with 2 page of wands, you know, it's just a lesson of like, this deck is going to come out when it wants to be. And I just imagine that it's like, you know what, we're just waiting to get through stuff, and we're getting to a point where we really have this to look forward to. Okay, so first, see how it slides? I love that. I love that so much. And then shuffling is going to be lovely. Hear that. It's so much easier for me to shuffle. I don't do like the bridge shuffles. My little hands. And then Jenna's mat is so perfect for a 3 card. That was actually my card today. This is just letting me know everything's gonna be okay. I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough. Let me zoom out just a smidge. Get that on there. I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough, and I hope you're just as excited as we are to be able to bring a second printing. And don't worry, I'm gonna make sure to magically transform this little guy into the Page of Cups. So we're good. And thank you as always for being here and part of my creative journey, and for supporting the decks that I create. And you know, I'm just so fortunate and appreciative of having so many of you just being so understanding. So thank you so much. Talk to you soon. Bye.